Welcome back to Ferris Sports Update. Time to talk men's basketball. And with us is assistant coach Bill Killian. And coach, first of all, welcome to the show.
Oh, I'm happy to be here, Rob. Thanks for bringing me on.
Obviously, you've been a long-time staff member here with the Ferris State Bulldogs since the late 1980s, working under 3 different head coaches, and I know it's just been a great journey.
Oh, man, unbelievable, yeah. All really successful guys. Tom Ludwig, and then Bill Saul, and now, of course, Andy. So, yeah, it's been a real good ride all the way through.
Maybe talk about your journey to Ferris State, how you got here at Ferris. Obviously, you're a long-time professor here on campus as well.
Right, yeah. I went to graduate school at Ohio State, and from there I started teaching at a high school in Columbus, and coaching basketball and baseball. And then I worked in industry for a while, and found a posting for a job at Ferris for this associate program that I had up in chemical technology. And because I had some teaching experience, I also taught a little while at junior college. I had coached basketball at a small college, George Williams College in suburban Chicago. Been an assistant when I was working in industry in Chicago at North Park College, and we won a Division III national championship. So that was 30 years before the D2 one that we got with Andy. So I figured 30 years from now I'd have a D1 one, and then I'll have them all 30 years apart. Be really nicely balanced out.
Yeah, certainly. I know when you started, obviously the first coach you worked for here in the basketball program was Tom Ludwig, a guy that took over for the guy the arena is named after,
Yep.
Jim Wink, and Coach Ludwig, a legendary head coach in his own right. What was it like working for him?
Oh yeah, no doubt. He lined right up with the philosophy I've always had, so it was easy to get in and work with him. You know, he liked to take talented players and put those talented players to work, and then you got the best of both worlds. So he was a top-notch recruiter. He liked bringing in people that could really play, and then he liked working with them hard when they got here. And I got to say, that's what I really enjoyed. And pretty much Bill and Andy been right along the same line, so that's been fair, successful basketball. That's the way we run it.
During the Ludwig years, when you worked for him, late 80s, early 90s, maybe some great memories, any games that really stand out from that era of Bulldog basketball?
Oh man, some great teams. You know, we made a really good run in the Division II national championship too, although I was not at that game in Alaska that particular day in '88. But yeah, it was a great run there, and we always had great games with Grand Valley. That's, you know, doesn't go without saying, but that's where I really got introduced to our strong rivalry that we had, and good years and bad years with Grand Valley, but always great games.
Obviously, you kind of departed the program for a little while there after Coach Ludwig left, but then came back when Bill Saul took over in 2002, and really the program kind of in a different spot right then. What did it take maybe to build the program back up to where it is today?
Well, Bill knew about it because, you know, he was a player when I first started with Tom Ludwig at Calvin, so I knew him as a player. And then the very last year that Tom was here, he was like our graduate assistant, so I got to know him really good. And then he went off and was doing his own thing, and I was out of basketball. And when he came back, he just called me and said, "Come on, let's try to do what we had going before. And would you want to come on?" And I just jumped at it, and it's been consecutive since then, 11 years that Bill was here, and then Andy is in his 8th now. So had a little hiatus, but now it's 19, I guess, consecutive years.
No, obviously, Coach Saul back at Calvin University now, and I'm sure it's a little nicer having him out of the conference. I'm sure that made for some interesting matchups when he was coaching at Northern Michigan.
Oh yeah, always, you know, because you kind of feel like you know him a little bit, as I'm sure he felt on his side that he knew us a little bit and how our thinking was. So it was a little bit of an interesting chess match always. But yeah, I got to say, in my heart of hearts, I feel it's better now that he's in a different league, and we can just have a little more freedom of exchange and not worried that we're slipping anything to him that he shouldn't hear. And I'm sure he's thinking the same way about us. So yeah, it's really good, and I'm anxious to see him play this year.
Obviously, you've stayed on with Coach Bronkema. Maybe what's your role, if you can let people know what your role kind of is on game days on the sidelines?
Well, I mean, pretty much I try to fill what he needs. You know, in practice, I'm kind of on individual skills a lot, and some of the team defensive stuff is mine, especially the zone stuff. So those things I have a lot of input on. But as far as the flow of the game, you know, he really doesn't ask me to do too much except continue to give him the input as I see things through my eyes and my lens, particularly as the game is advancing. And, you know, since he's never really spelled anything out particular, I just kind of fall into it and keep doing it.
I know obviously all three of those guys know them well. They all have their kind of own styles, and I'm sure some unique personalities that you've worked with over the years.
Oh boy, yeah, that's for sure. You know, I mean, between tempers and thinking out loud and going into a dead silence for a long time because they're upset about something. You know, yeah, obviously when you're an assistant coach, you gotta work with those guys and continue to help and input no matter what the situation is. So I think the biggest job of an assistant coach is, you know, never get down, never get bound up with circumstances that are going on right now, and keep focusing ahead. And in a way, you got to keep nudging your head coach, you know, to do that, and know that you're never going to be out of the woods. You got to keep going.
Well, what's it like when you see some of those former players that have played here when you've been here in the past and come back for games now and
Man,
get a
it's
chance
great.
to catch up?
Yeah, it's great. We get great showing of our former players when we're at Wayne State. Get great showing of our former players when we're at Grand Valley, and, you know, spend as much time after the game hugging people. Of course, you can't hug anybody now, but assume we'll be able to hug people again here before too long. It's like a long line, and the line gets longer all the time, and it's as much fun as the game, really, to see those guys and to find out what they're doing and find out about their families and where they're working and what's happening in their lives. I mean, it's tremendous.
Obviously, winning the national championship a couple years ago, what was that like being on the staff and having a chance to play a role in that?
Well, you know, there's nothing like it. I mean, there's absolutely nothing like it. I mean, the preparation, the way you're singly minded about your task at hand, and putting all your energy toward one goal, and breaking that goal up into little pieces, game by game, day by day. It's like a long, enormous high that you just feed off of until it ends. And luckily for us, it didn't end until the last game, and we won it. So it was great.
I know, obviously, along with basketball, you're a pro baseball scout. Your kids both played baseball. How does that change, I guess, maybe in your off season?
Well, you know, I like baseball always. I enjoyed it, and I worked for the Cincinnati Reds now, and my two oldest sons, Billy was drafted by the Padres on the 3rd round, and Dan was drafted by the Nationals on the 7th round, and Joe played some independent baseball. So baseball is a big part of our family. I mean, and my kids, they always like baseball a little bit ahead of basketball. So it's fun, it's enjoyable. It kind of kicks in immediately when basketball finishes. Luckily, the weather in Michigan's not too good for baseball, so it can't really kick in until about April. So April through about August, I'm pretty much going with baseball.
Well, Coach, thanks for being with us here today. Thanks for all you do for Bulldog basketball, and looking forward to hopefully seeing you back on the floor this winter.
Well, yeah, hopefully pretty soon. Thanks, Rob.
That'll do it for Ferris Sports Update. Reminder, you can follow all the action online, ferrisstatebulldogs.com. Have a great week.